life is, well, it's complex, isn't it? Full of choices, challenges everywhere you look. But what if there was a framework, something from ancient wisdom, simple but powerful to help navigate it all? Imagine taking centuries of insight and, distilling it down into these neat categories. Today, we're doing just that. We're diving deep into some really remarkable ancient texts, specifically excerpts from the Pañcakanipāto of the Aṅguttara Nikāya. Now, this collection, it's often discourses from the Buddha, and it's got this consistent theme, wisdom in groups of 5.
Yeah, it's fascinating stuff. And these 5s, they're not just random lists,
Yeah.
They seem really meticulously crafted. Insights into how we behave, how we grow spiritually, the conditions for well-being or, well, the opposite, suffering. So our mission today is really to unpack these core principles, see how they offer timeless guidance for your own life. You might actually find some surprising things in here, some real practical takeaways.
Okay, sounds good. Let's start building that foundation then. You mentioned well-being. The Phāsuvihāra Vaggo section, right? It tackles that head on. It explores what makes a trainee, someone on the path, confident.
Exactly. The Discourses gets right into it. It lays out 5 key qualities needed for a monk in training to achieve that real confidence.
Yeah.
There's faith, moral conduct, virtue, then extensive learning, aroused energy, which means diligence, basically, and wisdom. And the text is really explicit. If you lack these, you'll be diffident, hesitant. If you have them, you won't be. It's fundamentally about building this, inner bedrock.
An inner bedrock. I like that. So these aren't just abstract ideas then. They're actionable traits, things you can actually cultivate for genuine inner assurance.
Precisely.
What stands out to you about how these 5 work together? How do they create that sustained well-being?
Well, it's the synergy, I think. Faith gives you the why, the conviction. Moral conduct keeps you grounded, integrity. Learning gives you the what, the knowledge. Energy is the how, the effort. And wisdom is the discernment to put it all together correctly. So it's not just thinking positively, it's deeper.
Yeah.
It's a stable assurance built on, well, actual substance.
Right. Makes sense.
And this whole idea, this holistic approach, it pops up again and again. Like another text, the Phāsuvihāra Sutta, it lists 5 conditions for living at ease. Things like friendly actions, body, speech, mind towards your companions, both, openly and when they're not around. Also having this unbroken, respected moral code. And a noble view, one that leads towards liberation, towards the end of suffering. It's all connected.
A complete circle, yeah. Personal integrity, social harmony. Okay, and then there's this intriguing one, the Sammatikkamala Sutta about the delicate monk. That sounds odd.
It does, doesn't it? Delicate in a spiritual context. It makes you ask who fits that description. And surprisingly, the sutta says it refers to the Buddha himself.
The Buddha, okay.
Yeah. And the 5 qualities of this delicate monk are quite revealing. They mainly get necessities like robes, food, lodging, medicine, only when asked so, not demanding. Their companions treat them kindly, body, speech, mind, offerings. They have few physical problems. They can effortlessly attain these deep meditative states, the jhanas, profound concentration.
Ah, right.
And finally, they achieve ultimate liberation from all defilements. Greed, hatred, delusion, all gone. So it's this description of an ideal state. Ease, mastery, not physical weakness at all.
That's fascinating. So delicate here means more like refined, effortless mastery, and inner lightness.
Something like that, yeah. Not dependent on external stuff.
And you mentioned other texts talking about being worthy of offerings or fit for forest dwelling.
Right. Similar themes. Excellent. Virtue, concentration, wisdom, liberation, and this vision of knowledge. It all points toward that inner resilience, that inner strength.
Okay, so we've seen the foundation for well-being. But the texts also offer a contrast, right? Like a what not to do guide. Let's unpack the Mahakora Sutta, the great thief analogy. This sounds interesting.
Oh, it is. It's incredibly detailed. It compares a great thief to a bad monk. So the thief has 5 characteristics. Relies on difficult terrain, like mountains or ravines, to hide. Uses dense cover, like thickets or forests. Has powerful backers, kings or ministers. Is lavish with their stolen goods, maybe uses them to bribe people. And acts alone to keep secrets.
Okay, standard thief MO, how does that apply to a monk?
The text draws direct parallels. Difficult terrain becomes unwholesome actions. Body, speech, mind. Things that are crooked, hard to see clearly. Dense cover becomes clinging to wrong views, hiding behind dogma. Powerful support means relying on influential patrons to shield them from criticism if they mess up. Lavish with wealth. That's using gains like robes, food, lodging, maybe gifts they receive, to basically bribe people who might call them out. And acting alone becomes living way out in remote places to avoid scrutiny, to keep their misdeeds hidden. It's a really striking parallel, isn't it? It just shows how moral corruption can be, well, strategic, deceptive, even in a spiritual setting.
That's incredibly specific. It paints a really clear picture of those hidden dangers. Are there other examples of these undesirable fives?
Oh, definitely. If you look at sections like Andhakavinda Vaggo and Gilāna Vaggo, you find more. For instance, the Kulupaka Sutta talks about how a monk, or really anyone, can become disliked by families or communities. The 5 reasons: being overly familiar, pushy; being domineering, bossy; gossiping; being excessively demanding; or showing off spiritual states they don't really have.
Yeah, you can see how those would cause problems in any relationship, really.
Exactly. And then there are these very relatable examples: the bad patient and the bad attendant or caregiver. The Buddhist Sutta describes a bad patient. Doesn't know what's suitable for them, won't take medicine, hides symptoms from helpers, and can't endure pain or discomfort.
Sounds like someone who isn't taking responsibility for their own health.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And then the Gilāna Sutta describes the bad attendant or caregiver. Unable to prepare medicine properly, doesn't know what's suitable versus unsuitable, maybe gives the wrong advice or treatment, is selfish, maybe prioritizes their own comfort, gets disgusted by, the messy parts of caregiving, like dealing with vomit or urine, and is unable to inspire the patient, maybe with hopeful words or spiritual encouragement.
Again, really universal failings, aren't they? Applicable way beyond ancient monks.
Absolutely. And there's a recurring pattern, especially mentioned for nuns in texts like the Maikara Sutta and others, consistently warns against 5 negative traits leading to bad outcomes. Things like being stingy with lodging, connections, gains, appearance, or even the teachings themselves. Speaking wrongly, praising the unworthy, disparaging the worthy, being envious, having wrong views, wrong intentions, wrong speech, actions, effort, mindfulness, and squandering offerings made in good faith.
So it's like these teachings are mapping out all the ways human nature can lead us into trouble, personally and socially.
That's a good way to put it. They underscore how actions rooted in selfishness, deceit, wrong view just have these clear negative consequences. It resonates today, absolutely.
And you mentioned irreversible actions, too. That sounds serious.
Yes, the Pañcakanipāta Sutta lists 5. These are considered extremely grave, unrecoverable negative acts. Killing your mother, killing your father, killing an enlightened being, an arahant, maliciously injuring the Buddha, causing him to bleed, and causing a schism, a split, in the monastic community. These are presented as having immediate dire consequences, both in this life and future ones. It really highlights the sheer weight of certain actions.
Wow, okay. So after exploring pitfalls, the texts shift again, right? Using royalty and elephants as analogies.
Yeah, it's a great shift, using these powerful symbols to illustrate both the ideal and the problematic.
So tell us about the Chakravartin, the wheel-turning monarch, in the Rāja Vaggo section.
Right, the ideal king, the one who turns the wheel of Dharma, meaning rules justly and wisely. This king is defined by 5 amazing qualities: knowing the goal or aim, attainments; knowing the Dharma, the truth or law, attainments; knowing moderation, attainments; knowing the right time, kalanyu; and knowing the assembly or community, parisañña; understanding who they're leading.
Knowing the aim, the law, moderation, time, and people. That sounds like a recipe for wise leadership anywhere.
Exactly. And what's fascinating is the text directly parallels this to the Buddha himself. He turns the supreme wheel of Dharma with these same 5 qualities. And even his chief disciple, Sariputta, is described as perfectly following that wheel, embodying these qualities too. It's a profound statement, really. True leadership isn't just power, it's wisdom, ethics, understanding context, and acting for the good of all.
So it's about the right kind of power, wielded wisely, not just authority for its own sake.
Precisely. It's influence through integrity.
And the warrior king analogy, the Karya Sutta, that also has a spiritual link.
It does. A successful warrior king needs 5 things to secure their domain: noble birth, wealth, a strong army, brave generals, and a wise chief minister. Kind of the pillars of worldly power, and this gets analogized to a monk. Their domain is the liberated mind. And the 5 qualities ensuring that are virtue, extensive learning, aroused energy, wisdom, and ultimately liberation itself. The liberated mind is the secure domain. So it connects worldly success, using this kingly metaphor, directly to spiritual attainment. Same principles of foundation, capability, wisdom apply.
Here's where it gets really interesting for me. The elephant analogies, they seem so vivid. like the Akkama Sutta about the unfit royal elephant.
Oh, they are vivid. So this unfit battle elephant, it's described as being intolerant of 5 things. Intolerant of sights like enemy formations, gets spooked, intolerant of sounds, battle cries, trumpets, smells maybe the scent of fear from other elephants, tastes being annoyed by meager food rations, and touches like being wounded by arrows, can't handle it.
Okay, so it's easily disturbed, can't stay focused on the job.
Exactly. And the parallel monk is similarly intolerant of sense objects. If they see a pleasing form, hear a lovely sound, smell a nice scent, taste something delicious, feel a pleasant touch, their mind gets hooked, attached, derails their concentration. It really makes you ask yourself, doesn't it? Are we intolerant of our senses in this way? Do we let pleasant sights or annoying sounds completely throw us off, derail our focus or peace?
That's a powerful question. So the goal isn't necessarily to block out senses, but to develop a tolerance, to not be constantly swayed or knocked off balance by them.
That seems to be the key. Equanimity in the face of sensory input.
And the flip side, the Sottara Sutta gives us the ideal elephant.
Exactly. The ideal royal war elephant. It has 5 key abilities. It's a listener, obeys commands instantly. It's a striker, effective in battle. A protector, defends itself and its rider. An endurer handles hardships, wounds, long marches. And a goer gets to the destination swiftly and surely.
A perfect war machine, in a way.
Right. And these 5 are then directly applied to the ideal monk, one worthy of respect and offerings. They're a listener to the Dharma, the teachings, a striker against unwholesome thoughts, desire, ill will, harm, a protector of their senses, guarding the sense doors, an endurer of hardships, physical discomfort, heat, cold, harsh words, and a goer who swiftly reaches the ultimate destination, nibbana, liberation.
Wow. That's a complete picture of self-mastery, isn't it?
Yeah.
Discipline, resilience, focus, purpose, all leading to freedom.
It really is a powerful metaphor for the disciplined mind.
Okay, so we've covered inner foundations, pitfalls, leadership. Now, the texts also talk about value, right? What's truly precious, and about giving. The Saranada Sutta has this fascinating bit about what's considered rare.
Yeah, this one's great. You have this group, the Lichavi is a prominent clan. They're chanting about rare worldly treasures, like a top-notch elephant, a superb horse, a perfect gem, an exceptional woman, an ideal householder. Things people valued highly then, and maybe still do.
Right, the best of the best in worldly terms.
But then the Buddha comes along and gently redirects them. He says, you know what's truly rare in this world? 5 spiritual gems. The appearance of a Buddha. A teacher who actually teaches the true Dharma. Someone who genuinely understands that Dharma. Someone who practices it properly, lives in accordance with it. And, maybe surprisingly, a grateful, appreciative person.
That hits differently, doesn't it? It completely reframes what we should consider a treasure.
It really does. It asks us, where are we putting our energy? Chasing those fleeting worldly things or recognizing these deeper, rarer qualities of wisdom, practice, and gratitude?
A real aha moment, like you said. And how does this relate to giving? The sources talk about that too.
Yes, very specifically. The Sapura Sadhana Sutta outlines 5 qualities of good giving. Giving like a truly righteous person. It's done with faith, respectfully, at the proper time, not randomly or thoughtlessly, with an ungrasping mind, meaning no strings attached, not expecting something back, and crucially, without harming oneself or others in the process.
Okay, so the how and the why of giving matter immensely.
Absolutely. And the text lists the benefits. Things like future wealth, beauty, having cooperative family or staff, getting timely gains, enjoying pleasures without guilt and protection from lost fire, water, rulers, thieves, even bad heirs. And this is contrasted sharply with bad giving in the Asapuriza Dana Sutta. That's giving disrespectfully, carelessly, not with your own hand, like throwing something away or giving without any belief in the act or its consequences. So there's this clear link between the manner and intention of giving and the results, tangible and intangible. It's the spirit of the gift.
That's really practical advice, actually. The way you give impacts the outcome. All right, finally, let's bring it back to the inner journey, the ultimate goal, liberation. How do these 5s play into that? The Sattasupahita Sutta talks about mindfulness, but in a specific way.
Yes, very specific. It says cultivating 5 particular practices leads a monk or nun towards one of 2 very high spiritual outcomes, either immediate profound knowledge, like final enlightenment right then, or the state of a non-returner.
A non-returner.
Yeah, someone who's so advanced they won't be reborn in the ordinary human realm or lower realms again. They're guaranteed final liberation eventually. And these 5 practices are establishing mindfulness firmly within oneself, contemplating the constant arising and passing away of all phenomena with wisdom, seeing the body as, well, ultimately impure, not just this glamorous thing. Perceiving revulsion towards food, understanding its role simply as fuel, not a source of craving, and perceiving the impermanence in all conditioned things.
Wow, those are deep practices, not just sitting quietly.
No, these are about actively cultivating specific perceptions. It makes you wonder, how deliberate are we in looking beneath the surface of things? Are we cultivating these deeper ways of seeing?
That's a challenge. And the Tikāya Sutta seems to offer more on training perception.
It does. It advises monks on 5 ways to approach things to manage reactions. See the repulsive in the unrepulsive, like seeing the downsides of something attractive. See the unrepulsive in the repulsive, finding value even in difficulty. See the repulsive in both. See the unrepulsive in both. And finally, the goal is to transcend both attraction and aversion by dwelling in equanimity, just mindful and aware. The whole point is to stop desire, aversion, and delusion from arising when you encounter pleasant or unpleasant things. It's about mastering your reactions by fundamentally shifting how you perceive.
So you're not just controlling reactions, you're changing the perception that causes the reaction.
Exactly. It's a profound level of mental training, emotional regulation.
Fascinating. And one last one. Timely liberation from the Samaya-Vimutta Sutta. What's that about?
This describes a state of liberation that's conditional. It needs the right circumstances to be maintained. It's real liberation, but may be fragile. And the Sutta lists 5 things that cause a monk in this state to decline, to lose it. Being too fond of work, getting too busy, being too fond of talking, chatter, being too fond of sleep, being too fond of company, getting distracted by socializing, and crucially, not regularly reflecting on and appreciating the liberated state of mind they've achieved.
Forgetting to nurture it, basically.
Pretty much. And conversely, avoiding these 5 things leads to that liberation not declining. It's a really important reminder, I think. Even after significant progress, spiritual or personal, there's still a need for vigilance, for commitment. Inner peace isn't always a set it and forget it thing. It often needs ongoing tending.
That makes a lot of sense, constant cultivation. Well, this deep dive into the Pañcakanipāto, into these 5s, has been incredible. It really shows how this simple structure, groups of 5, can illuminate such profound truths about living well, living skillfully. From building confidence, avoiding those hidden traps, understanding leadership, the power of giving, it feels like a timeless blueprint for flourishing.
I agree. And they're not just teachings for monks thousands of years ago, are they? They feel like universal principles for just navigating the human experience. Those analogies, the thief, the king, the elephant, they stick with you. They're memorable models for what leads to progress and what leads to decline. And that consistent emphasis on cultivating your inner world, on ethical conduct, on wisdom, it's really striking. It reminds you that genuine well-being, it's an inside job built on these kinds of foundations.
So wrapping this up, what does this all mean for you listening right now?
Yeah, maybe the question to leave you with is this. What 5 things, maybe habits, relationships, mindsets, daily actions, are you consciously cultivating in your life right now? Or perhaps neglecting? And what impact do you think that's having on your own inner peace, your effectiveness, your overall sense of, well, flourishing? Something to ponder,